The nebula stretched across space like a giant swirl of colors, violet and emerald clouds twisting and glowing faintly in the distance. Most starships avoided this region. Legends told of lost ships, strange signals, and dangers that no map could show. Yet for Captain Rylan and the crew of the human exploration vessel Aegis, danger was part of the job. Humans thrived where others feared. Alara, the ship's mechanic, leaned over the control panel, her hands tracing the smooth surfaces. She had always loved machines, the way they responded to touch, the way they seemed to speak if one knew how to listen. That instinct, that connection, often got her into trouble, but it also saved lives. Today, it was about to change the galaxy. The sensors of Aegis had picked up an enormous energy signature. At first, it seemed impossible. No known civilization had a ship this large. Yet the readings were clear. A colossal starship, ancient, floating in a dark stretch of space, silent but not empty. The signal pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "Captain," Alara said, her voice tense, "you need to see this." Rylan, a veteran explorer with more gray in his hair than most humans at his age, came to the bridge. His eyes widened as he read the scans. "By the stars, that's bigger than a battleship, bigger than a city ship," he whispered. "How is this even here?" Alara didn't answer. She felt the pull of the ship deep in her chest. It was almost as if it were alive, calling for her specifically. Other crew members sensed it too. Whispers ran through the bridge, fear, curiosity, and awe mixing into one impossible emotion. They approached cautiously. No one had ever set eyes on the ship's hull before. It was black smooth, with strange markings glowing faintly along its surface. It reflected starlight in a way that made it seem unreal, like a shadow and a mirror all at once. "This is forbidden technology," Ryland said quietly. "I've read about these. Legends say some of these ships were built by civilizations long extinct. Others never existed at all." But Alara didn't listen to legends. She only listened to the hum beneath her fingertips as she tapped the controls. Her instincts screamed that this ship could be understood, that it wanted her. When the Aegis drew close, the ship reacted. Panels shifted slightly. Lights flickered. A low hum, deep and resonant, vibrated through the hull of their vessel. The crew exchanged nervous glances. No other species could interface with the ship. Only humans seemed capable of responding to its patterns, and for some reason it seemed to recognize Alara. "Mechanic," Ryland said, looking at her with concern, "don't touch anything yet. We don't know what." He never finished. Alara's hands were already on the ship's surface. The panel under her fingers glowed brighter, displaying symbols in a language she didn't know, but somehow she could understand them. Not with her mind, but with her hands, her instincts, her human intuition. The symbols formed a single message: "Help me." Alara's eyes widened. "It's calling for me." "Calling? It's a machine, Alara," Ryland said, but his tone lacked conviction. Even he could feel the strange resonance. The air seemed heavier, charged. The ship pulsed again, this time sending a beam of energy toward Aegis. It wasn't harmful. Instead, it seemed like a handshake, a test. Alara followed the patterns, moving her hands over controls that were not hers. Lights and symbols danced. Slowly, the ship began to hum in harmony with her touch. The bridge crew watched in awe. Aliens in the galactic charts often boasted of advanced technology. But humans were the only ones the ship allowed near. And even among humans, only Alara. "What is it saying?" Rylan asked. I don't know yet, but it wants me to fix it or to help it wake up," Alara said, her voice trembling slightly. It's alive. I can feel it." The crew knew the stories. Many civilizations had tried to claim abandoned ships only to vanish or be destroyed. But the ship made no hostile moves. Its energy was gentle, almost pleading. Alara suited up and prepared to board. Rylan hesitated. "You don't know what's in there," he warned. "It could be a trap," she smiled faintly. "Captain, when have humans ever backed down from the unknown?" Her confidence, simple yet powerful, carried the moment. With a careful docking maneuver, she entered the ship. Immediately, the interior was unlike anything humans or any alien had seen. Corridors shifted as she walked, responding to her presence. Holographic symbols appeared, floating in the air, changing with her steps. Machines hummed. Panels moved. It was as if the ship itself were alive, breathing around her. Alara knelt beside a central control node, her hands brushing over alien circuits. Sparks of energy danced along her fingers, and the ship pulsed in response. A holographic projection appeared, a map of star systems, some familiar, others entirely unknown. Lines of energy traced paths converging on distant points. "It's showing me something," she whispered. "A network, a warning." The ship's voice, or what she interpreted as a voice, echoed in her mind. "The galaxy is in danger. Help me awaken, only you can." Back on Aegis, sensors detected faint ripples of energy emanating from the ship. Across the galaxy, alien factions noticed unusual signals. A star empire monitoring the nebula reported an anomaly, a massive energy signature pulsing in patterns that suggested intelligence. Alara worked through the night, deciphering the first layers of the ship's system. Unlike alien machines, which were rigid and programmed, this ship responded intuitively. It reacted to her logic, her instincts, even her emotions. Every adjustment she made allowed new systems to wake, revealing compartments, engines, and strange power sources. This is beyond anything," Rylan muttered. "We may have found the most powerful technology in the galaxy, and it's ours to understand." The ship, however, seemed to sense his words. It hummed softly, almost sadly, as if only a human touch could calm it. Alara felt that pull more strongly. Her heart raced. She knew she couldn't stop. She had to see this through. Outside the ship, the nebula glowed brighter. Signals rippled through space, reaching far-off star systems. Somewhere, alien eyes turned, curious and wary. Humans were never meant to be the galaxy's central players. Yet here they were, one human mechanic standing in the corridors of a starship that could decide the fate of entire civilizations. Hours passed. Alara deciphered more. Symbols became commands. The ship shifted again, revealing a central chamber, massive, impossible to imagine. Panels rose like walls and a low hum filled the air. Energy cores glowed, some dormant, some flickering. "This ship," Alara whispered, "it's not just a vessel, it's a guardian or a weapon. And it's calling only for humans." A sudden surge of energy made her step back. A holographic message formed above a console, clearer this time. She read the words aloud: "Awaken me, human. The galaxy will pay the price if I remain dormant." Her pulse quickened. The gravity of the moment hit her. Not just curiosity, not just the thrill of discovery. This was bigger than anything she had imagined. The galaxy itself depended on her next actions. Back on Aegis, the crew watched anxiously. "She's doing something," one officer said. "But what? And what happens if she fails?" Ryland's eyes were fixed on the monitors. He didn't like to admit it, but he trusted her. Humans had always done the impossible, the unpredictable, and this was one of those times. Alara placed her hands on the ship's central console, feeling the hum of power beneath her fingertips. Slowly, systems responded, lights flaring, corridors shifting. The ship was waking, but only partially. It needed her guidance, her understanding. A message pulsed again, vibrating in the very air. "I cannot do this alone. You are my key, human." Alara's eyes burned with determination. She didn't know what she was about to unleash. She only knew she had to succeed. And far across the galaxy, alien observers noted the ship's awakening. Some feared it. Some coveted it. None understood it. None except the human mechanic who stood at its heart. The nebula glowed brighter still, as if acknowledging her presence. The adventure had only just begun. The galaxy's fate rested in human hands, and one mechanic was about to take her first step. The colossal ship hummed and shifted as Alara walked through its corridors. Every step she took seemed to resonate with the ship's own heartbeat. Lights pulsed softly, panels rotated, and strange symbols shimmered in the air. For the first time she understood. The ship was alive, not in the way humans lived, but in a way that mirrored thought, intent, and memory. Back on Aegis, Captain Ryland monitored the readouts. "I don't like this," he muttered. "No one knows what this ship truly is, and now it's sending signals across the galaxy. We might have just announced our arrival to the entire universe." Alara didn't answer. She was too focused. Fingers tracing alien circuits, she adjusted power flows, rerouted energy through systems no human should have understood. And yet, instinct guided her. Where logic failed, intuition succeeded. Every other species, no matter how advanced, would have panicked or caused irreparable damage. "You feel it, don't you?" A voice seemed to echo inside her mind, not spoken aloud but understood. The ship's energy resonated with hers as if calling her a partner in some vast mechanical symphony. "Awaken me fully, human. The galaxy needs you." Hours turned into days. Alara barely slept, her mind entirely consumed by the ship. She discovered rooms filled with machinery she could barely comprehend. Engines that seemed to draw power from distant stars, data cores that stored information about civilizations long dead, and alien weapons that had never been fired but could destroy entire planets. And yet none of it frightened her. Humans had always faced the impossible and survived. If anyone could awaken this starship, it was her. The first ripple of consequences came in the form of attention. Across the galaxy, alien empires noticed the ship's energy pulses. Some sent scouts hoping to claim or destroy it. Others sent messages demanding that humans step away. "No one will touch this," Alara whispered to herself. "Only we can understand it." Her instincts proved correct. Alien ships attempted to dock. Their crews tried to access the ship's controls, but the starship rejected them. Systems failed, lights flared dangerously, and the aliens' attempts ended in retreat. Whatever intelligence governed the ship, it recognized humans and only humans as worthy. Rylan leaned over her shoulder, watching. "It's like it knows you," Alara nodded. "Not just knows me, it trusts me. It wants me to wake it completely." Even as she worked, fragments of information began to flow into her mind. Images of distant galaxies, ancient wars, and a looming threat. A predator, unlike anything the galaxy had ever faced, moving silently across the void, consuming star systems. The ship had been built as a guardian, a warning system, and potentially a weapon. And it had waited for humans. She realized something chilling. If she failed, the galaxy could fall. Entire civilizations could be destroyed before anyone knew what was coming. Yet if she succeeded, humans could change the balance of power forever. Alara's hands danced over the controls, syncing with the ship systems. She learned to feel its logic, to anticipate its movements, and even to correct errors before they became catastrophic. Where aliens relied on programming, she relied on instinct. She adapted, improvised, and created solutions in real time. The ship responded. Engines awakened, corridors rearranged themselves for efficiency, and weapons systems aligned, though she dared not touch them yet. And then the message came, not in symbols but in a vision. A star system far across the galaxy, threatened by the cosmic predator. Entire populations were at risk. Alara understood. The ship was not only a vessel, it was a key to survival, and she, a human mechanic, was the only one capable of turning it. Meanwhile, on the bridge of Aegis, tension grew. Alien scouts observed from a distance, unable to approach but curious enough to interfere in subtle ways. "We're being watched," one officer said, eyes glued to the sensor screen. "Multiple fleets, all scanning, all waiting." Ryland's jaw tightened. "Good, let them watch. They'll see what humans are capable of." Back inside the Colossal Starship, Alara reached a chamber unlike any she had encountered. It was circular, with a central console suspended in midair. Light flowed along its edges, forming a map of the galaxy. But unlike any star map, it displayed energy streams, potential threats, and anomalies. Lines of light converged on distant systems. She realized the cosmic predator was approaching, moving methodically, consuming everything in its path. Her pulse quickened. "We have to act now," she whispered, "before it's too late." The ship responded to her urgency. Panels shifted, revealing access points and control interfaces specifically designed for human interaction. It was as if it had been waiting millions of years, storing energy and information, waiting for the right species to arrive. She activated the main sequence. The ship shuddered, lights brightened, and a deep resonant hum filled every corridor. For a moment, Alara felt dizzy. The power was overwhelming yet comforting. The ship trusted her. And then came the first communication from outside. Alien factions sent messages demanding she stop. "Human interference will not be tolerated," one message read. "Stand down or face annihilation." Alara smiled faintly. "They don't understand, they never will. Humans, we adapt." As she continued her work, the ship began sharing knowledge. Alien designs, star maps, defensive protocols, information no other species could interpret fully. She absorbed it intuitively, solving mechanical problems with a combination of instinct and logic. Every system she activated brought the ship closer to full power. Hours later, the first external test occurred. A small fleet of alien ships attempted to intercept. The colossal ship responded automatically. It did not fire weapons. Instead, it created barriers, electromagnetic pulses, and decoy projections, protecting Alara while demonstrating human ingenuity. The aliens had no choice but to retreat, realizing that humans could operate the ship in ways they could not even imagine. Alara's connection with the ship deepened. It communicated with her not through language but through sensation. She could feel its needs, its limitations, and its intentions. It was teaching her, guiding her, and trusting her above all else. And yet the challenge was far from over. The cosmic predator was still approaching. The ship, powerful as it was, needed her creativity to become fully operational. Humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. The ship depended on these qualities. A sudden surge of data hit Alara's mind. Systems she hadn't yet touched flickered with warnings. She realized the predator was closer than expected. Star systems she had seen in the holographic map were being consumed. Lives were at stake. Her hands moved faster. She rerouted energy, bypassed failing circuits, and initiated protocols that no manual could explain. She thought on her feet, adapted in real time, and improvised solutions that no alien engineer could comprehend. Outside, alien factions continued to watch, confused and wary. "How can a single human operate this ship?" one commander asked. "No other species can touch it." Alara smiled, a mix of determination and exhaustion. "Because humans, we see things differently. We adapt. We survive. We fight when others flee. And we think in ways the galaxy can't predict." The ship responded to her confidence. It shifted its systems, preparing for interstellar movement. Engines glowed, shields aligned, and navigation systems synchronized with her instincts. The cosmic predator had been detected. The galaxy's defense had begun, and it depended entirely on a human mechanic. As Part 2 drew to a close, Alara stood at the central console, fully aware of the weight of her responsibility. The ship hummed around her, alive, responsive, and trusting. She had awakened it, but this was only the beginning. Alien empires, unaware of her full capabilities, were already planning their next moves. The cosmic predator approached, unstoppable and indifferent. And humanity, small and underestimated, held the key to survival. For the first time in history, the galaxy realized something terrifying and exhilarating. Humans were not to be underestimated. The colossal starship thrummed like a living heartbeat, its vast corridors shifting in patterns only Alara seemed to understand. Every panel, every console responded to her touch as if the ship were listening, not to her words but to her instincts. She had spent days unlocking its systems, deciphering alien technology that no human or alien had ever understood. Now she could finally sense the ship's full potential. Outside, the galaxy had begun to stir. Alien fleets, once confident in their superiority, had discovered that their greatest weapons were ineffective against the ship. Their scanners picked up energy surges, but every attempt to board or control the vessel ended in failure. Machines overloaded, shields collapsed, and communications scrambled. "They can't touch it," Captain Ryland said on the Aegis. "It's like the ship knows only humans belong here." Alara smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and exhaustion. "Not just humans," she said softly. "Humans who think, adapt, and act in ways no one else can. That's what it wants. That's what it needs." The ship's artificial intelligence, or whatever form of intelligence it possessed, was still incomplete. Many systems remained dormant, inaccessible even to Alara, but the parts she could control gave her unprecedented advantages. Engines that dwarfed the largest known warships powered up. Shields capable of withstanding stellar phenomena glimmered into existence, and data cores revealed centuries of galactic history. And then came the message, the first clear communication from the cosmic predator. It was unlike any message humans had ever encountered. Not words, not symbols, but raw intent. A presence in space that radiated hunger and power, indifferent to life and destruction. Entire star systems had already fallen. The predator moved methodically, consuming everything in its path. The galaxy had no defenses. No one could stop it, except the ship. Alara felt the weight of responsibility settle over her like a physical force. She had woken the ship, unlocked its systems, and begun understanding its purpose. But now she had to act. She had to prepare the vessel for the ultimate test, defending the galaxy itself. She walked through the ship's command hall, touching panels and interfaces that seemed impossible to human hands. Each movement triggered energy flows, connected circuits, and activated defensive systems. The ship responded with a resonance that vibrated through her very bones. She was no longer a mechanic. She was a conductor, orchestrating a symphony of alien technology with nothing but her intuition. Meanwhile, alien factions scrambled. They were still watching from afar, unable to approach the colossal vessel. Some sent diplomats, others sent fleets, but all met the same fate. Systems that rejected their presence, warning pulses that incapacitated their ships, and strategic illusions that kept them at bay. "How is she doing it?" an alien commander whispered to a subordinate. "No species can interface with that ship, yet this human controls it as if it were built for them." Alara ignored the chatter outside. She had bigger concerns. The predator approached faster than predicted. Star systems blinked out in distant parts of the galaxy, leaving nothing but darkness and drifting debris. Every second counted. She initiated a system the ship had not revealed before. Panels and conduits shifted, creating a three-dimensional holographic map of the predator's path. Energy lines traced its trajectory, showing weak points and potential strategies. Humans, she realized, were uniquely suited to exploit unpredictability. Alien species relied on rigid logic, patterns, and brute strength. Humans relied on creativity, intuition, and adaptation. That was why the ship had chosen her. Rylan observed her at work. "You're thinking faster than any alien engineer could," he said. "Faster than anything I've ever seen." Alara's eyes never left the map. "I don't have time for their speed. I have to think in ways they would never imagine. That's the only way to survive." She plotted a course, adjusting energy flows to reinforce weak points in the ship while simultaneously preparing offensive systems. The ship seemed to anticipate her moves, aligning engines and shields in ways that complemented her strategy. And then the aliens tried one last gambit. A fleet of warships launched an attack, hoping to disable the Colossal Starship before it could confront the Predator. Energy blasts struck, but the ship shifted effortlessly, absorbing attacks and sending harmless feedback pulses to the attackers. The human advantage became evident. Alara's decisions were unpredictable, adaptive, and effective in ways no alien strategy could counter. The aliens retreated, defeated without a single human casualty. They realized with growing dread that humanity had become a force no one could challenge, not through numbers, not through technology, but through ingenuity. But the Predator was still out there. Its presence grew stronger, its energy pulses more aggressive. Entire star systems, once vibrant, now lay barren. Alara's mind raced. She understood the stakes. Failure meant extinction. Success meant survival, and a new status for humanity in the galaxy. She activated the ship's defensive network fully. Massive energy shields enveloped the hull, engines synchronized for maximum maneuverability, and weapons systems came online, not for conquest, but for survival. Every decision she made was amplified by the ship's power, every movement executed with precision beyond human engineering limits. "Are you ready?" Rylan asked. Alara paused. Her eyes scanned the map, tracking the Predator's approach. "I have to be," she said. "The galaxy is counting on us. Humans are the only ones who can do this." And then the Predator appeared, on the edge of the ship's sensors, a massive presence that seemed to stretch across space itself. Stars bent around its mass, energy pulses radiated from it, and its intent was clear: annihilation. Alara's hands moved over the controls, instinct guiding her. She adjusted the ship's trajectory, prepared shields, and calculated the Predator's likely attack patterns. Every calculation, every adjustment was informed by human intuition, a quality no alien species possessed. The ship responded instantly, energy flowing to weak points, weapons aligning, shields reinforcing. It was no longer just a vessel. It was an extension of her mind, her instincts, and her creativity. As the Predator struck, the ship shifted, dodged, and countered. Energy pulses erupted in space, creating barriers and diversions that protected distant star systems. The Predator tried to adapt, but human unpredictability made its calculations useless. Every move it made was anticipated, countered, and neutralized by the combined force of human intuition and alien technology. Rylan watched in awe. No one could have done this. Alara's heart pounded. She knew the fight was far from over. But every second they survived, every star system they saved, reinforced one undeniable truth: humans were not to be underestimated. The Predator, massive and relentless, began to realize that brute strength alone could not overcome this alliance of human skill and colossal technology. Its attacks became erratic, its energy dispersing in futile attempts to strike the ship. Alara seized the moment. She initiated a sequence that the ship had never executed before, combining offensive maneuvers with strategic defenses. Energy beams, gravitational pulses, and carefully timed shields created a perfect trap. The Predator, unprepared for such ingenuity, was forced back. Its advance slowed for the first time in millennia. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time, a human mechanic, not a fleet, not an empire, had turned the tide against an unstoppable force. And yet victory was temporary. The Predator would return, stronger and smarter. Alien empires, now aware of the humans' power, began to shift their own strategies. But Alara and the colossal ship had already proven one crucial fact: the galaxy's greatest weapon was not technology, numbers, or brute force. It was human creativity, adaptability, and courage. As the battle subsided, Alara stood in the command hall, exhausted but exhilarated. The ship hummed around her, alive, responsive, and attuned to her every thought. She realized the truth: humans were not just survivors, they were the galaxy's guardians, capable of feats no other species could imagine. Rylan approached her, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You've changed everything," he said softly. Alara nodded. "No, we've changed everything. Humans are the key, and now the galaxy knows it." Outside the ship, alien observers retreated, confused and wary. The Predator had been delayed, but it was still out there. The ship, massive and powerful, had only begun to awaken fully, and humanity had only begun to realize its true potential. For the first time in history, a single human stood at the center of the galaxy's survival, guiding a vessel of unimaginable power. And the galaxy would never forget it. The colossal starship thrummed with life, every corridor alive with energy and movement. Alara moved through it with confidence, her hands tracing controls as if they were an extension of her mind. The ship's power was immense, almost overwhelming, but she had learned to control it. Where aliens relied on rigid calculations and brute strength, humans thrived on intuition, adaptation, and instinct. And now, the galaxy's fate rested in those qualities alone. Outside, the cosmic predator loomed, a massive entity moving with terrifying speed and intelligence. Stars bent under its gravitational pull, entire systems trembling before its approach. It was a force beyond comprehension, consuming everything in its path. Civilizations that had lasted millions of years disappeared in an instant. The galaxy had no defenses. None, except for a single human and the ancient starship she had awakened. Captain Rylan stood on the bridge of Aegis, monitoring sensors with a tense expression. "It's coming faster than predicted," he said. "If we fail the galaxy—" Alara didn't answer. Words couldn't capture her focus. Her mind was entirely in sync with the ship. She felt its currents, understood its needs, anticipated its limitations. Where aliens would see danger, she saw opportunity. Where calculations failed, instinct succeeded. "Prepare for engagement," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We're not running, we're stopping it." The ship responded instantly. Shields aligned, engines powered up, and weapons systems came online. But they were not weapons in the usual sense. They were precision instruments, designed to exploit weaknesses, to redirect energy, and to protect life rather than destroy indiscriminately. The Predator struck first, sending waves of energy that bent light, warped space, and threatened to tear the ship apart. Alara reacted without hesitation. She moved through control sequences instinctively, rerouting energy, reinforcing shields, and creating countermeasures the Predator could not anticipate. The ship's massive hull glowed with protective energy, deflecting attacks that would have obliterated lesser vessels. "You're incredible," Rylan whispered, awe in his voice. "No one else could do this." Alara allowed herself a brief smile. "Humans never give up," she said. "We adapt, we survive, and we fight for more than ourselves." The Predator's strikes intensified. Its energy pulses struck entire star systems, leaving nothing but darkness. But every attack the colossal starship endured was countered with precision, every move Alara made unpredictable and effective. The Predator began to realize it had underestimated its opponent. "It's human," a distant alien observer murmured over communication channels. "Impossible. How can a single human control that?" Alara didn't have time to consider their astonishment. She had discovered the Predator's pattern, a rhythm in its destruction that no one else could see. Humans thrived on unpredictability, and she intended to exploit that. She activated the ship's core sequences, channels of energy flowing in patterns designed for defense and offense simultaneously. The ship became a living fortress, a symphony of alien engineering guided by human creativity. Massive energy beams shot forward not to destroy, but to manipulate space-time, redirecting the Predator's momentum, slowing its advance and protecting inhabited systems. Rylan watched, astonished, as distant star systems blinked back to life. Shields created by the ship's energy pulses saved worlds on the edge of annihilation. Civilization after civilization owed their survival to a single human mechanic, and an ancient starship that had waited eons for her. The Predator roared in a way that resonated through space itself, a soundless vibration that rattled stars and planets. It attacked with more cunning, more force, but Alara anticipated every move. Her decisions were unpredictable, adaptive, and brilliant. Every alien logic that had failed before failed again. Humans were chaos the galaxy could not control, and that chaos was their greatest weapon. Hours passed in a blur of energy, calculation, and instinct. The Predator's advance slowed. Systems once on the brink of collapse stabilized. And then came the final sequence, the moment Alara had prepared for. She activated the ship's ultimate protocol, one that combined every system she had unlocked. Engines surged, shields expanded across vast distances, and a network of energy conduits formed a cage around the Predator. It struck with all its power, but the ship adapted instantly, absorbing and redirecting the energy. "You're not winning," Alara whispered. "Not today." The Predator writhed against the cage, thrashing with destructive force. But the ship, guided by human instinct, remained one step ahead. Energy pulses compressed space around the Predator, forcing it into a confined path. Its attacks became ineffective. Star systems beyond the ship's influence began to recover. Light returned where darkness had reigned. And then, with a final surge, the Predator was forced to retreat, its advance blocked completely. It disappeared into the void, weakened but alive, giving the galaxy a chance to prepare. The colossal ship shuddered, its systems strained from the effort. Alara leaned against a console, exhausted but triumphant. She had done the impossible. She had turned the tide, protected the galaxy, and demonstrated what humans were capable of. Rylan approached her. You saved millions of lives," he said quietly. "The galaxy owes you, humanity owes you." Alara shook her head. "Not me alone," she said. "Humans. We all have this inside us. Adaptability, courage, instinct. It's why we survive where others fail. And now the galaxy knows it." Outside, alien fleets observed in silence. Their envy, fear, and awe mixed in equal measure. They had underestimated humans for too long, assuming that alien technology, brute force, and rigid strategy were superior. But humans had proven that unpredictability, creativity, and instinct could achieve what machines and rigid logic could not. And yet, there was a cost. The ship had sustained damage. Systems had been pushed to their limits, and Alara's mind had been stretched in ways few humans could endure. She felt the connection with the ship like a pulse through her own body, intense, exhausting, and permanent. She realized that part of her would remain linked to the vessel forever, a living bridge between human ingenuity and alien technology. The ship itself seemed to acknowledge the human contribution. Lights pulsed in patterns resembling gratitude, corridors shifted to create spaces of rest, and energy flows hummed with a calm resonance. It had survived because of a human, and it had recognized that humanity was worthy of its trust. Across the galaxy, civilizations began to respond. Messages of awe and respect reached human colonies. Alien empires, humbled and cautious, began reconsidering their assumptions about humans. For the first time in history, humans were recognized not as weak, primitive, or unpredictable, but as guardians of the galaxy, capable of feats no other species could achieve. Alara stood at the command console, exhaustion and exhilaration mixing within her. The Predator had been delayed, the galaxy had been saved, and humanity's place in the stars had changed forever. She looked at Rylan, her eyes burning with quiet determination. "This is only the beginning," she said. "There are more threats out there, more challenges. And humans will be ready," the captain nodded. "I think the galaxy finally understands what we've known all along." The colossal ship pulsed around her, alive, attuned, and responsive. Its systems would need repairs and adjustments, but the bond between human and starship was permanent. Together, they had achieved the impossible. Together, They had proven the strength of humanity. In the distant stars, the galaxy began to whisper a new truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their creativity, adaptability, and courage could turn the tide of impossible battles, save civilizations, and even command the most advanced technologies the universe had ever seen. Alara smiled faintly. She knew the ship had more secrets, more power, and more challenges awaiting discovery. And she would face them, all of them, because she was human. And for the first time in history, the galaxy understood that being human was more than survival. It was power, ingenuity, and hope. The colossal ship, once abandoned, had awakened. Humanity had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same again.